last time out. Things were horrific, to say the least.
But as you can see, Felipe Massa's going alongside. What is he doing? He's just steering straight at him. And there's major contact down the straight. And Carlos Sainz has been collected.
Now Buddy needs to put all that behind him, as it was time for him to head to the spectacular Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. So Buddy arrives in Singapore off the back of a very poor race, through reasons that really weren't his fault. Obviously there was that incident with Massa and Sainz, which really he could have done nothing about, as things were really looking good for him to take quite a good result there. But now heading into Singapore, it's a track that on paper should suit the Renault, but it's a very physical track where fatigue can really set in, as well as sweating from the exhilarating heat. Even though it's night, it's very tough conditions for the drivers at this Marina Bay Street Circuit. But Buddy has been training a lot for this race. So, without further ado, it's now time for the qualifying report. The floodlights were shining bright, which meant qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix was about to get underway. Sauber once again struggled as they locked out the back row. Fernando Alonso showed improvements from McLaren Hollander by qualifying in 10th, expected as this track doesn't expose the power unit deficit that much. Torres enjoyed an average session with Kvyat out qualifying Sainz. Romain Grosjean just missed out on the top 10, whilst Lance Stroll was disappointed with 17th. Buddy Simpson qualified well to qualify in 6th, whilst Sergio Perez was disappointed to miss out on Q3. Red Bull enjoyed an average session with 4th and 5th, whilst Vettel was disappointed to miss out on pole. Whilst Bottas had a 10th-place grid penalty for an engine change, Lewis Hamilton stormed to pole position with an absolutely mighty lap. So, taking a look at the starting grid for the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is Lewis Hamilton who took pole by 0.7 of a second to Sebastian Vettel. An absolutely mighty lap. Raikkonen starts 3rd ahead of Ricciardo, Verstappen and Simpson. Ocon starts in 7th ahead of Massa, Bottas with an engine penalty, and Fernando Alonso rounding out the top 10. Grosjean qualifying 11th ahead of Hulkenberg, Kvyat, Perez, Sainz, Magnussen, Stroll, Van Dorn, Verline, with Ericsson rounding out the grid.
The race should be incredible. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. And Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
So, here Buddy is sitting on the grid in Singapore. As you can see, the weather is not that great around here at the moment. Buddy sitting on the grid, ready to go. As you can see, the formation lap is about to get underway. Making sure that he spins up the rear tyres, obviously to get some heat off the line. But it's going to be interesting, kind of like the real F1, that we have rain at the start in Singapore, but it is expected to dry up later on, which is going to make strategy crucial. But it is all intermediate weather at the start. There's no way you can start on these slick tyres, but he did debate whether it was the right thing to do to start on the slicks, but it wasn't the right idea. So as you can see, Buddy lines up on the grid in Singapore.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence.
As you can see now, he's just waiting for the rest of the grid to form up. So with the final few cars, Buddy qualifying well for this race, so he has a chance for a good result after the disaster of Monza. We have the lights in Singapore. Lights out, away we go. And Buddy doesn't get the best of starts. He's got Esteban Ocon on the outside heading into turn 1. He's locked up slightly and he has to kind of go over the curb, which is going to give Ocon more momentum. Buddy tries to go down the inside, which he has managed to make stick, but Ocon is still alongside. A little bit of contact heading in towards turn 4, and there is a bit more contact. Buddy kind of lost traction and Ocon made a bit of contact. There's a little bit of damage to his front wing. Really not what Buddy Simpson needs. As you can see, Buddy's got more momentum than Ocon heading up towards Memorial Corner at turn 7, but he's not quite able to get it done. He didn't send one up the inside going into turn 8, but he's still in P7, still in a good points position. So at this point, Buddy needs to just hold his own and just see what he can do, see if he can make the right call when it comes to pitting in for the dry tyres. Moving on to the start of lap 2, as you can see, Buddy is still running in P7 with actually Valtteri Bottas right behind in the Mercedes, but Buddy's been able to fend him off so far. There's a yellow flag ahead, but he is just biding his time to see if he can catch up to Ocon. As you can see, Esteban Ocon has actually retired. Not sure what the issue was, but Esteban Ocon is out of the race. A very mysterious issue so early on in the race, and Buddy takes back 6th place. Now moving on to the end of lap 3. And as you can see, Buddy is still holding his own against Valtteri Bottas. But as you can see from the mini-map, some people have pitted in at this point. We thought it was a bit too early to pit for the dry tyres. But then, heading into turn 1, Buddy loses the rear slightly. Doesn't quite spin, but that loses him a lot of time. And that could be crucial time, especially if the slick tyres prove to have more pace than the Inters that Buddy is currently on. As you can see, he's just ahead of his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. But he now heads into the pits for the super soft tyre. It's going to be interesting where he's going to come out. After all this, as you can see, there are still quite a few cars who have yet to stop, hence why there are so many pit crews in the pit lane right now. So Buddy gets going, he's lost out to Bottas, and that spin actually has cost him a fair amount of time. As you can see, there's the likes of Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso. Most of these guys have already pitted. Got Danny Kvyat ahead. And you can see side by side with Romain Grosjean on pit exit. Romain Grosjean is not going to give that up, but Buddy had the better exit and is eventually, with the better line, able to defend that position. Despite the mistake, Buddy was still impressing his team with his pace.
Okay, Buddy, you're doing a good job. Your time will come later on the ultra-soft.
Shortly, Buddy Simpson would get elevated back into the points. As you can see, Felipe Massa has pitted. But Lewis Hamilton has had a major issue, as you can see from the yellow flags. And Buddy is now ahead of him. In fact, I believe he has actually retired from the race at this point. So, real shame for Lewis, especially as he's a championship contender. But this does give Buddy Simpson a position. At this point, Buddy was doing a fairly reasonable job. Until, as you can see on the exit of turn 3, Buddy has hit the wall.
I hit the wall, I don't know what happened there. For some reason I had this sudden burst of power. So unusual.
Okay, bring us back to the pits. Oh, not lost. We have a VSC.
So luckily for Buddy, there is indeed a virtual safety car. Which is lucky for him, because then this means he's not going to lose as much time on the pit entry. All the parts where losing a front wing is a real problem had been passed by the time the VSC ended. As you can see, what really happened was I actually got a lag spike, as you saw from the video. Actually got a lag spike, which meant that the crash was unavoidable. But Buddy changing to the ultra soft tyres, changing the wing, and this is obviously going to be really bad for his race. Like the likes of Grosjean are ahead and Sainz is ahead, so Buddy has dropped quite a way down the order. As you can see, he's behind Stoffel Van Dorn. It would take a bit of a while to catch up to Stoffel Van Dorn, but as you can see now, Buddy is right behind the McLaren driver. He's got a run heading up towards turn 7. He's going to try it up the inside, but initially it doesn't work. But now he's going to launch it up the inside going into turn 8. Van Dorn realises it late, and this gives Buddy free space on the inside, and with the high ground going into turn 9, the better line, Buddy is able to take the position. As you can see from the replay, it was a very ambitious lunge from Buddy heading up towards turn 8. So Buddy had one last pit stop to make, where he was going to be forced to go to the super soft due to the strategy disruption from the off that he had earlier. Which was fairly annoying for him. As you can see, he pits for the super softs. And he's going to come out in P10, which is actually where he was before his pit stop, once a few more retirements and pit stops had taken place. So Buddy is still looking on for points at this stage, but now he's got to catch up to the likes of Grosjean and Massa, which he would eventually do. And as you can see, they're battling it out, and Buddy sees an opening on the inside of Grosjean heading up towards turn 8, and he has made that move stick. So Buddy has taken P9, and he wasn't done there. As you can see, he's got the DRS of Felipe Massa heading up towards turn 7. He's going to lunge it up the inside, and he has made that stick. So Buddy really getting his overtaking trousers on in this race. Buddy is up into P8, looking good, despite the issue that he had, looking good for points. But now moving on to lap 45. As you can see, his car doesn't shift down, and that means he's unable to get the car stopped in time, and he's in the barrier, and unfortunately, that's his race done.
I hit down and absolutely nothing happened. No way I could get round that corner in 4th gear.
Okay, switch off. Switch off. Really sorry about that, mate.
And now
Such a shame for Buddy Simpson. Like, he was really looking for a good result. At least his teammate got a point, so it wasn't an entirely pointless race for Renault. But Buddy was feeling really bad after the race, as you'd expect, just having a result snatched away through something that wasn't his fault. I mean, there's no way you can really get round that corner in 4th gear. But
Well, I think the track conditions
things
really
also
suited
got
their car
worse for
today.
him when he
Wind, track temperature,
actually
you name
heard
it.
that his
These
dad
cars
had
go
actually
live when the
attempted to
tyres are
get
just at
into the
right
paddock,
temperature.
and
So
he
the
didn't
more
have
easy
any
you keep
idea
them there,
why,
the better your race
but
tends
he
to
knew
go. And that's
that
exactly what
something was
happened.
up and he was
Their
up to
car just looked
something.
so comfortable out there.
So he's obviously hoping
So,
that
here they
nothing
come now, out
happens
onto the podium.
later
Wherever
on in
you
the
go,
season.
anywhere in the
As you can
world,
see,
the
it's
France
Vettel
horse
who
flags are
wins
dominant in the grandstands,
in
and their
Singapore.
engine force
It's a
against
Ferrari
It's Ferrari
1-2.
on the
So,
top step once more.
Buddy Simpson may have had a result snatched away from him today, but can he strike back as Formula 1 heads off to Sepang for the final Malaysian Grand Prix?